In RuneScape, there are many different collection logs, but 3 really stand out as being the big ones in order to complete. Slayer, while not the scariest of the 3, is definitely going to take some time, and let me break down why. Going up against this collection log, we face massive drop rates, requires incredibly high levels in other skills, and quite often requires you to have elite Slayer monsters in order to hunt these items down. That all being said, we're going to take it one task at a time, and we're going to keep grinding away at that collection log. Welcome back to another episode of Collection Log Completionist. Now let's talk about Seniston, because this one is going to be a doozy. So the Nodon Dragonkin task is pretty famously known for being able to kill Carapac on it. However, we're going to be focusing on the Nodon Engineers. Now the issue with killing a Nodon Engineer is that there's only one spawn of them, which means that you're going to be killing one, waiting about 15 seconds, and then killing it again, which makes for a rather long task. However, they do have a chance of spawning a elite version of themselves, which has an even higher drop rate chance of the item, and that is why we are going to be solely focusing on these. As with all elite Slayer monsters, they are more difficult to kill, and on top of that, Nodon Enforcers actually spawn in 3 additional Nodon Dragonkin that start to attack you. As it can be a little bit more challenging to sustain yourself, I would recommend running off into a corner and funneling them such that there's only 1 or 2 hitting you, and that way you'll be able to kill the boss without too much worry. As with any elite monster farming, I would recommend always bringing extra food and extra potions just in case, because the drop rate is that much higher on them, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity that you might get a drop from something. And look at that, another Dwarf multi-cannon upgrade kit. We already have one of those, but it is nice to see them, and they're still quite expensive at this time. We are still working for that Kinetic Cyclone upgrade kit from these, and then we can eventually move on. Moving on to one of the other monsters in Seniston that is technically, we're working on it outside because of the benefits of killing in the wilderness, but we are going to be working on Abyssal Lords. Now, I will say I am pretty damn dry on these things. I think I've killed close to about 3,000 of them, and we have been sitting up in the wilderness here. This is the best spot that I have found where you place the cannon, and you're able to tag all the Abyssal Lords and basically draw them in and maximize your DPS per cannonball used through the use of our Cinderbanes, Weapon Poison, and our Scripture of When, and we're hitting 7 different Abyssal Lords simultaneously, where we're slowly withering them down and eventually get to kill all of them. Now, being in this location, we do hit some of the Abyssal Beasts as well, so that unfortunately will tick down our kill count. However, it is super worth it to be able to hit all of the Abyssal Lords simultaneously. Now, a word of caution, this requires tank gear, and I barely survive sometimes. So having the Vampirism aura or the Penance aura on, depending on which one you want to go with, I've found that the most consistent is having Mage Prey up with the Vampirism aura, but then you have to watch your prayer. Whereas with Penance, you're able to just soul split, and I do find my health gets uncomfortably low sometimes, and I do have to eat back up. So if I'm doing that version, I do bring some emergency food just in case. This has been absolutely eating through my cannonballs, and I'm still working towards these, but after about 10 different tasks of them this month, that Abyssal Scourge is still just outside of our reach, but when we do get it, it's going to be awesome. This is your friendly reminder that I am still hunting away at Big Game Hunter. I have been doing a lot more prep on those T1 and T2 dinos. It has actually been boosting the amount of Slayer XP that we get, so this in combination with doing the Slayer tasks has been tremendous, and I'm hoping that we can actually push towards 120 Slayer soon, but just wanted to keep you updated. Still working away on that Big Game Hunter grind, still looking for that last piece of the Pterosaur Maul. The PVM Encyclopedia offers a wide variety of different information surrounding the game, and one of the things that they provide is a great guide on completing Ultimate Slayer, or essentially completing all of the collection log slots for Slayer. And part of that is a block and prefer list for Slayer tasks. So I am slowly working towards getting the Slayer points to unlock these tasks and actually getting the tasks in order to prefer them or block them. But basically, we're going to be working towards getting this task list done. Now, as we move on and we get more and more collection log slots, we might adjust it in order to complete our needs a little bit better, but we're going to be focusing mainly on getting this as of right now. And I'm hoping by the end of this month that we will have transitioned most of our tasks to the list that you see on your screen now. The other thing the PVME offers, which is quite beneficial, is they actually offer a tier list of which tasks are most important to take in order to complete the collection logs. So I'll be primarily using this when comparing tasks, when I use a Slayer skip ticket in order to most efficiently do my Slayer. For anyone who's curious, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below in order to access this and take a look for yourself. They do have guides on each individual task as well, if you're ever wondering how to do a task. One of the best parts about Slayer is being able to do bossing simultaneously while on a task to boost accuracy and DPS. And one of those that I absolutely love to do every single time I get it is Dagonoth, and Dagonoth Kings specifically. Normally this task takes forever to do, however I am still hunting for my Seer's Ring and my Archer's Rings. I need 10 of them in order to upgrade those at Rex Matriarchs, so we're going to be grinding this as many times as possible in order to try and complete that. However, sometimes the unexpected happens whenever you're just going for something else. No, let's go. Okay, there is pet number 2 completed, collection log slot completed. I am literally getting goosebumps right now. That is 1 pet left at a pretty low KC, I will admit. Not many people can say that they're 1 log slot off at such a low KC, so I am being incredibly spooned right now. We still have not acquired a single ring that we're looking for on this task, but new pet unlocked, so we'll take the win. Stop. No. Holy cow. Why am I so spooned? So for reference, I am 80 kills since I got my last pet. And we are sitting here completing the collection log for Dagonoth Kings, trying to do Slayer, trying to just simply collect the Seers and Archer's Rings. And I am sitting here with possibly the most spooned Dagonoth King. For the record, there are people with double, triple, quintuple my kill count that still have not completed this log. I am so thankful that I don't have to do this log anymore. We're still going to be coming back for freaking rings because I still did not get any, but absolutely amazing. Dagonoth Kings completed at 3,225 kills. Now, I've come to realize that I've been doing so much Slayer, and I'm 120 archaeology, and I never really think about relics. I've got my divination relic, I've got my rune crafting relics, and I've got my combat relics. But one that I totally forgot existed is Slayer Introspection, that allows the user to choose either the minimum, the requested, or the maximum number of Slayer creatures to kill, which is awesome for tasks that you don't want to do and you want to skip quickly and not waste Slayer points, but also on the other end, allow you to get those more rare tasks and extend them as much as possible in order to decrease the amount of time searching for those tasks. So for it, I'm going to be dropping Conservation of Energy. It's more of a bossing relic anyways, so hopefully now we'll be able to start grinding out the tasks a little bit either faster or slower depending on which one that we want. Now, there's certain tasks out there that require a special level of preparation in order to complete them. And when you haven't done Rune Dragons and you go to do them for the first time and you realize that you have to do Kethy smithing, with the mining and smithing rework, it is absolutely awful to make these bolts, and it takes forever to do. So I am going to be doing a massive batch of these in order to get through them, because I don't want to ever have to do Kethy smithing again. Now, fortunately, other than the preparation itself, these monsters are actually quite lovely to kill because they are quite easy to do, and if you take them on one at a time, their damage is not bad. I haven't worked out on a multi-Rune Dragon setup yet because I, as we all know, suck with range. So I'm going to be happy doing my one at a time. We're looking at about a 1 in 1,000 for the Ketsi ring, and then about 1 in 700 for the rest of the drops. So we shouldn't be here too long, and I believe that we've made enough supplies in order to complete the log. I'm going to regret saying that at some point, but I'm quite enjoying doing Rune Dragons for the first time. And finally, our rarest drop rate that we're probably going to be going for quite a while is going to be the Ancient Elven Wedding Ring from Crystal Shapeshifters. These are wonderful inside the player-owned Slayer dungeon. I'm going to link a guide in the description below about the method that I'm going to be using for this, but it's actually quite nice in AFK once you get them all there. The issue is getting them all into the Ushtabi in order to get them into the player-owned Slayer dungeon. So I'm going to be taking on 3 of them at a time. It's rather rough, but Necro does seem to be doing quite well with the Ghost adding a little bit of healing factor in there. Once we get enough of the Tardian crystals, we're going to be upgrading to the attuned crystal outfit in order to upgrade the chances of acquiring the ring. Then, with that method, we're going to be using all crystal except 1 piece of range gear in order to force the crystal shapeshifters into melee distance, and then we're going to be drawing them all in. Right now, because I'm in the midst of all these different spawns, I don't really like doing that, and I'd rather just be wearing my DPS gear, playing manually, whereas I'm going to be able to play it AFK once I get them into the Ushtabi. Overall, a big success on Crystal Shapeshifters. We are now at 5 out of 5 in the player-owned Slayer dungeon, so we are going to be able to just AFK this task away in the future. I am a big fan of nightmare creatures, and let me tell you, this is a pleasure to do, other than the fact that it absolutely eats up my cannonballs. As most of these Slayers tasks do, the ones that I tend to enjoy the most do involve a cannon, and I'm going to need to do some corpse soon in order to balance that out. Basically, it's the same strategy as Moss Golems, where you sit off on the side, you use Protect from range, and you just chill and vibe out and then collect the loot. While we're doing this, we are collecting the Muspa spines as well as the energy in order to make divination familiars, and they do have some other good drops in there as well. This spot tends to be the best I have found, where all of them group up in such a manner that you can actually collect all the loot from them, whereas if you go 1 step north, they tend to get stuck on the little lip that is the tower. This task has been incredibly rare for me. We only saw 1 task this month, which is so sad to see, but Nightmare Gauntlets, still working away at those. Now, over the past month and a half, we've done about 150 hours worth of Slayer, and in that time, we have gotten 0 collection log slots for Slayer, but 2 for bossing. So even though that this was supposed to be a Slayer video and we were supposed to make progress on those logs, it turns out bossing is just triumphant as always. But that being said, we are completed with this episode. I hope to see you in the next one, and as always, have a wonderful day.